Hi, I'm Chris.
And I'm Kelsey.
And this is World's Worst Deaths. On this show, my friend Kelsey and I will discuss all the terrible and strange ways you can die.
There's so many good still water deaths.
We'll discover more on exactly what makes those strange deaths so terrible. Do your organs burst?
Burst?
I don't know. And finally, we'll decide on which death is in fact the world's worst. Today's topic is water. Kelsey, what is the world's worst way to die from water?
I don't know that just straight up drowning is even one of the worst ways to die. I have some other alternatives that I have been thinking about that are way scarier than just drowning.
What is scarier than drowning?
The worst water death is H2O poisoning. The hold your wee for wee death. This happened 15 years ago and I'm still thinking about it. It spread on the news at school because this was just a crazy story that this poor woman, Jennifer Strange, died after participating in the water drinking contest, and her family won $16.5 million awarded by a California jury. This poor woman in her late 20s, mother of 3, probably would not be able to afford such a nice gaming system on her own. That's what she was doing this for her kids, for her babies. So you know this woman was going in here like, I, as a woman, have trained my whole life for this. We are always told to just hold it. We are bred from birth to wait in astronomically long lines to use the restroom. We are just trained to just cinch the bladder and just hold it in. So I can see how she really pushed herself and she really thought that she could do this.
I'm sure she had the heart of a champion.
Yeah, heart of a champion, bladder of just a human being, a woman of flesh and blood.
Do your organs burst?
Burst?
I don't know.
I'm sure that it is possible. I'm sure you could pump someone up with a hose. Oh, maybe that's one way.
Maybe that's
Pump someone up with a hose until they explode. Death by hose. Another episode for another day. Let's get sad. Let's get sad, shall we?
Let's get sad.
At the time of the incident, Laura Rios, one of Strange's co-workers at the Radiological Associates of Sacramento, said that Strange said to one of our supervisors that she was on her way home and her head was hurting her real bad. She was crying, and that was the last anyone had heard from her.
Oh my
so
God.
That was after the contest, and then she was found dead hours after that. 10 people at the radio station got fired. Maybe more should have happened. Gosh, if that's really all that happened, that radio station, they got off light, I think.
So I'll give you that. That is absolutely a terrible, horrible, awful way to die. Is it the worst, though?
I don't know. What do you think?
Riptides terrify me.
Wait, riptides are really scary.
I don't know if that's the
like that
worst
either.
way to die.
Well, I think it's the idea, again, like context is everything, right? You're out at the beach, you're having a nice time, you're just chilling, you go for a little swim, and then all of a sudden you're fighting for your life and you absolutely panic. I have heard when you drown because of the lack of oxygen in your brain that it's generally kind of a peaceful way to die. But up until then, until that point that you lose absolute awareness and consciousness, it's probably really terrifying and scary.
That might be the worst.
I don't know. I'm still saying though that drinking too much water, because have you ever like had to pee so bad and you couldn't?
Yes.
Shall we get into suffering? Shall we get into that?
Oh, there's more to get into. Yeah, let's dig right into the suffering.
So what exactly is H2O or water poisoning? You know, I thought I was being really scientific, like hydrogen dioxide, you know, a hydrogen and 2 oxygens together. That is water. Did we know this?
We do now.
This study about fatal water intoxication talks about how water intoxication can occur in a variety of different settings, but there's not a lot of medical studies and literature about it. You know, we're so worried about dehydration, nobody is thinking about overhydration. So the condition goes unrecognized a lot of the time. Early symptoms of having way too much water, like that can be seen outwardly, include confusion, disorientation, extreme nausea and vomiting, but also changes in mental state and psychotic symptoms. The crying and feeling a little like unstable in your emotion, totally normal for water poisoning. And early detection is crucial to prevent severe hyponatremia, which can lead to seizures, coma, and bada boom, death.
That's the big one.
So, this has happened before in a 64-year-old woman with a known history of mitral valve disease, but no other relevant past history. And on the evening before her death, she began compulsively drinking water in vast quantities, between 30 and 40 glasses, apparently, and then started vomiting in between. She became hysterical, distressed, and started shouting that she still had not drunk enough water. She declined any medical attention and continued to drink water after she went to bed, and then she fell asleep and died sometime later.
Wow.
But they did a post-mortem examination on her. There were cut surfaces on her lungs that were exuding frothy pink fluid. That doesn't sound great. That sounds like too much water where there shouldn't be. And the intra-abdominal organs were generally wet.
Just generally.
Generally. I don't think that the intra-abdominal organs are supposed to be generally wet. Moist, is okay, because yes, human beings, we are over 70% water. We are beings of water. There is fluid inside, but it's not wet per se. You know what I mean?
I can't imagine just sloshing around, right? You must feel that as you move around.
I know. You're just like a huge balloon just carrying just gallons of water. That sounds horrible.
We all have that one hydro homie who just cannot keep their mitts off of that next glass of water.
Dude, this episode goes out to the hydro homies. The most common of these mental illnesses that might cause such intense water intoxication is called psychogenic polydipsia, which can be associated as its own mental illness or with others or as a mental handicap. And this condition has also been seen in young army recruits of good health who developed hyponatremia after apparent overhydration following heat-related injuries. So out of fear of dehydration, they have overhydrated and hurt themselves, which is really tragic.
That seems like the most reasonable way for this to happen, though.
An overcorrection of trying to get water back into your system.
Because that at least has some internal logic to it, I think.
Agreed. And then, of course, again, let's get a little bit sad again. Forced water intoxication is a recognized form of child abuse, which commonly leads to brain damage and is sometimes fatal. As sad as the hold your wee for wee story is, it is a sobering reminder, I think, that you really should not be drinking ridiculous amounts of water, not getting enough electrolytes and salt, and then not going to the bathroom. It's how you get organ failure, and you can do it with just water.
The human body is so fragile. We are just water balloons filled with chunky soup, and we fall apart so easily.
Yeah, basically. It's so important to do the right things, right? There's a new study that came out that shows that the more hydrated you are, the better you look, the sexier your skin is, the less likely you are to die earlier or to develop diseases like Alzheimer's and heart disease and all of this stuff that kills Americans if you stay hydrated enough. So I don't want anyone to think that I'm not a hydro homie.
We are pro hydro homie here, just to be clear.
Absolutely. But that's why I thought this death was so interesting and why it's the absolute worst. Because as a big fan of water and drinking water, I wanted to ask, why is this the absolute worst death? Water is so enjoyable and refreshing. It's really ironic to have delicious, cold, wonderful, versatile water turn on you in such a way. This is a really slow physical death. You know, I think we talked earlier about how drowning is like euphoric, right? And there's no euphoria in this. I think that this is this slow, torturous, painful, just tragic sort of death that could be really easily prevented. And that's what makes it the world's worst water death.
What if you had such a high pressure of water concentrated onto one part of your body that it just like slices right through you? They do have
Oh
these.
my God.
I know. They have these tools in certain industrial environments called water jet cutters. And there's no way someone hasn't mauled themselves using the water cutter machine.
Surely lost a limb and bled out.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, that is technically death by water.
It'd be like a wet lightsaber, just cutting right through you.
Yeah, like when you watch episodes of Jackass and they get the fire hose involved and they're just like getting absolutely pummeled, and then you think about that times
Yeah,
a
but this
million or
Johnny
whatever.
Knoxville just being Darth Mauled in half by the fire department.
Yeah, that's pretty frightening. I think that would be a pretty painless death if it's
Maybe.
truly like the lightsaber of water.
It wouldn't cauterize though.
Is it hot? Is it steamy? I could go for that.
It must be high friction if it's high pressure. So
Yeah, that
maybe it
checks
does
out.
cauterize. It steams. I don't know. To find out.
Honestly, that's giving me more desirable death energy.
Now let me tell you everything you've never wanted to know about water jet cutters. They are an industrial tool used to cut hard materials with extremely high pressure jets of water. They are a well-hydrated Hydro-Homey version of the laser cutter. They have many uses. They're found everywhere. They are a friend to all in the industries, and they are unstoppable with water. We're talking 60,000 psi to just cut things like an anvil in half. Check out this clip from WaterJet channel. Now, I understand so far it sounds like I am pro water jet cutter.
Yeah, you called it a friend. Why would you do
Well,
that?
a friend to all in the industries. Now, I'm not in the
Oh.
industries. As much as I love that WaterJet channel on YouTube, it did implant several new fears.
There's so many good still water deaths. They say that like Lucy, the Australopithecus, drowned in a bog. There's so many people who've drowned in bogs or like in wells perhaps.
Gatsby drowned in his pool.
Gatsby drowned in his pool. Yeah, that's really sad too, just context alone.
Yeah.
Like that should be something to be considered too.
How metaphorical is your water death?
Yeah, how poetic. I want to know what kind of damage that does to flesh. Is it clean?
And bone.
Is it,
That
like,
absolutely
torn
cuts through
up?
bone. Or maybe
Okay,
not,
alright.
but we're gonna find out. What could go wrong? Well, a lot, as it turns out. For example, my precious hot dog fingers. What's gonna happen to them if I have the water jet cutter on and I'm just carelessly swiping my hot dog fingers all over the place? Well, our friends over at WaterJet channel had the same question, and this is what they found. Horrible. Horrible news, cuts right through it like tissue paper. It's nothing.
I hate anything that has to do with like bone, skin, hands. Like I love jewels and rings, and like anything that is just like an industrial finger injury haunts me.
Yeah, that's disgusting. I don't want to cut my finger in half. So I want to move away from the soft tissue. Let's move into the hard tissue, the bone of the matter. For example, the femur, as we call it in the biz, the good bone.
Yeah, they do.
Now, the femur is the strongest bone in the body. It's able to withstand up to 1700 psi before being cut clean in half. However, these machines, look at this, get up to 60,000 psi. This one in the corner here, Hyperjet, 94,000 psi. I don't know what you would need the Hyperjet for to cut clean through the earth, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, serious materials, friend of the industry. You said so yourself.
So at the end of the day, it's just cutting like any other laceration. That's kind of boring. How could this world's worst death be the absolute world's worst death by water? And I think I have a solution of how exactly it could get worse. Imagine this, dear reader. You're hosting a hot tub party. Everyone's loving it. The sun is setting. Uncle Jeff is rocking the saxophone for some reason. Doesn't matter, he sounds great. The vibes are immaculate. But it needs just one thing to take it to the next level. And just like Brian Eno, you're all about those warm jets. Only these jets don't offer multi-directional massages. No. They shish kebab your body in a 60,000 psi barrage of water spears, rendering you into a soggy mass of something vaguely resembling Swiss cheese. Uncle Jeff is still all the while just wailing away on that saxophone. And I think all of that together in that context absolutely makes a water jet cutter death the world's worst death by water.
Okay, but why is the hot tub this powerful?
It's party time.
I don't know. Still kind of sounds like the world's best death to me.
Okay, so we've come all this way. I think we've learned a lot about water and how it can really just ruin your day without even beginning to drown you.
I mean, do we know which one is the absolute worst?
I think I am going to vote for yours, death by water poisoning, because I think about how there's nothing more refreshing than a cool glass of water when you just really want one. You really need a cool glass of water. It's the best thing in the world. And for that to turn around and kill you terrifies me.
Absolutely. Thank you. Let's not forget about the brutality of poisoning. I don't think I emphasize that enough. This is a form of toxication and poisoning. That alone, that is absolutely horrible. That is tragic. That is killer. That is Joffrey, Game of Thrones, eyes bugging out. And that can happen with water.
Joffrey, number one hydro homie.
Joffrey, a hydro homie. Water intoxication, an unexpected sleeper hit.
So your vote is water intoxication as well?
I think so, because the scene that you described sounds kind of awesome. If I have to be put out of my misery, I would love to be sliced up in a hot tub with all the party girls and all the friends. Let's just say I'm on the job and I accidentally lose a limb. I think that would be an okay way to just bleed out in a couple of minutes.
In a jacuzzi?
I mean, yeah, like the jacuzzi would be great, yes. That's my version of Midsummer. When I'm 77, baby, just cut off my arm and stick me in the hot tub.
There you go, sous vide.
Yeah.
All right, well that does it here for us today. We have learned so many terrifying things, but next time we are going to be back with more deaths and more answers to unravel.
Yes, we're gonna keep hunting for the world's worst death. So please come with us on that journey. It's gonna be really scary and really traumatizing.
I can't wait. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.